Hi everyone, it's me, Spring, the fiber enthusiast, and welcome to the channel. Today's tutorial is going to be on my latest Snood pattern. However, as discussed in a previous podcast and throughout the comments, I found that you all would like for me to do this in a two-part series. So the first part of it will be the doily part. So if you're looking for just a doily, this will be the video for you. Now, to make the full snood, as you've seen in the thumbnail, you will need to follow up with the part 2 of this series, and that will complete the full snood. Now, a snood is a wonderful hairnet. It's fashionable. There is a tie on this. It does still need to be bobby pinned. Depending on how big you make it, it could be even larger and be further up on your head than you've seen in the thumbnail on mine. But for this part of the tutorial, which is the doily section of it, we're going to go ahead and start with our items that are needed. You will need a number 10 thread. Now, what brand number 10 thread you use is up to you, but for the pattern, I use a number 10 thread. I also used a 1.5 millimeter crochet hook. You will need a darning needle to sew in your ends, and also you will need a pair of scissors. So this is a brand new ball, and you won't need all of one ball for this unless you continue to make this a very large snood to the size of potentially a slouchy. Now, I will throw in an example that I based my idea of pattern from. Okay, so that's the style that I like, that I was going after when I originally decided to make a snood pattern. Okay, so I now have a slip knot on my hook, and we're going to begin with a chain 4. Now, if you do a magic circle, that is perfectly okay. You are welcome to do so. I just chain 4 and slip stitch into the very first chain. Now I will be working over my tail. So I'm going to insert my hook into that little ring that I just made by slip stitching to the first chain. I'm going to insert my hook into there, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull it through. I like to do that because it starts right away by being inside that little ring that we created. So there I am. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is chain 2. That chain 2 is going to count as your first double crochet. You're then going to place 11 more double crochets into that circle. So going into, yarning over, going into that little circle that you created, and double crochet. We're going to do that for a total of 11 double crochets, and including your first chain 2, that will give you a total of 12 double crochets around your ring for round 1. Once you have your 11 double crochets and your chain 2 for a total of 12, you're going to slip stitch to the top of your chain 2. That will complete round 1. At this point, you're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and double crochet back into that same stitch. What you have done is created a chain 2 for a first double crochet. The third chain is a chain 1 space, and then created a double crochet back into the same stitch. So now we have a V-stitch. We're going to do that in every stitch. We're going to place a double crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, and double crochet back into that stitch. Again, next stitch, double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet all into that stitch. You're going to do that all the way around. At the end of the round, including your very first chain, you should have a total of 24 double crochets. I'll meet up with you at the end. Okay, so for the end of round 2, you're going to slip stitch to the second chain of your beginning chain. So 1 and 2, and just slip stitch to it. Now you're going to slip stitch into the chain 1 space, and we're going to create another V. So go ahead and chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and double crochet back into that same stitch. Now we're going to place a double crochet between the next 2 stitches. So go right in between the stitches and pull up a loop and double crochet. And now you're going to place a double crochet into the next V. Chain 1 and double crochet. So we're creating V stitches into the V stitches, and we're placing a double crochet in between the V stitches from the previous round. So we'll do that again together. This is your repeat. You're going to place a double crochet between the next 2 stitches. And then you're going to place a V-stitch into the next chain 1 space. Just like that. And you're going to continue that repeat all the way around for round 3. Okay, so at the end of round 3, we have our last V-stitch in the V. We're going to create a double crochet in between, just as we have been doing. So don't forget your last double crochet in between the next stitch and where we slip stitch to. And now we're going to slip stitch to the second chain of our beginning chain, and that will complete round 3. At the end of round 3, you should have a total of 36 double crochets. For round 4, we're going to begin right where we're slip stitch. You're going to go ahead and chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And double crochet back into that same stitch. That is the first V-stitch. Now we're going to go into the next chain 1 space, the next V-stitch, and create another V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet. This is the beginning of your repeat. V-stitch in the V-stitch. Now we're going to place a V-stitch into our next stitch. So we're placing a V-stitch into the single double crochet that we placed on the previous row. Then you're going to place a V-stitch into the next chain 1 space. Double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. And now we're going to place a V-stitch into the next stitch, the next double crochet. So skip. Let's see if I can show this to you a little better. You're going to skip the next double crochet, and into the following is where you place your next V-stitch. So this is a round of V-stitches. And then place a V-stitch into the next chain 1 space of the following V-stitch. And you're going to continue this all the way around, and when we get to the end of the round, we're going to slip stitch to the second chain to complete the round. I'll meet up with you at that point. At the end of round 4, you will have 24 V-stitches. Your very last V-stitch is in your very last previous round V-stitch, because we started straight from that single crochet, placing a V-stitch to start the round. So now we're going to reach over and slip stitch to the second chain of our turning chain. And that will complete round 4. Okay, to begin round 5, we're going to slip stitch over to our very first V here. Now we're going to chain 2, 1, and 2. That's our first double crochet. You're going to place 2 more double crochets into that same stitch, into the same chain 1 space. Now we're going to single crochet to the next chain 1 space. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Single crochet to the next chain 1 space. And into the following chain 1 space, you're going to place 5 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and single crochet to the next chain 1 space. Let's go ahead and begin that repeat. Chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Single crochet to your next V-stitch, the chain 1 space of that V-stitch. Into the next V-stitch, we're going to place 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and single crochet to the next chain 1 space. And you're going to continue that repeat all the way around. I will meet up with you at the end of the round. All right, let's finish round 5. You should be single crocheted into your last V-stitch of the previous round. Now we started with a chain and 2 double crochets. We need 2 more double crochets into that same chain 1 space where we started the round. So 2 more double crochets into that same chain 1 space. And now we're going to slip stitch to the second chain from our beginning chain, and that will complete round 5. Round 6 begins with a chain 1 and single crochet back into that very same stitch. Now you're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to skip over the next 3 stitches, and we're going to jump over to our next chain 5 space. And you're going to single crochet around that chain 5 space. Now you're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to jump over to that center double crochet of the group of 5. So again, we're going to skip the single crochet and the next 2 double crochets and into the top of the following single crochet to it. And that is your repeat all the way around for round 6. This is a chain 5 single crochet round. So chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Jump over to your next chain 5 and single crochet around the chain 5. Chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And skip over to that center double crochet, the third double crochet, and single crochet to it. Continue that repeat all the way around, slip stitching to your very first single crochet at the end. I will meet up with you at that point. Okay, so once you have slip stitched to the beginning single crochet, we're going to slip stitch our way over to the center of this chain 5. So just slip stitch into the next 2 chains. And now around the chain, we're going to slip stitch. Chain 1 and single crochet. And now we're going to begin round 6. Round 6 is a chain 6 single crochet round. So you're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and single crochet to your next chain 5. That is your repeat for round 6. All the way around, chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then single crochet to the next chain 5. Repeat that all the way around. Once you have reached your last chain, you're going to slip stitch to your very first single crochet. I'll meet up with you at that point. To finish round 7, you should have a total of 16 chain 6 spaces. To begin round 8, we're going to start right where we are by chaining 2, 1 and 2. And into that same stitch, we're going to place 2 more double crochets. 1 and 2. Now we're going to single crochet to the next chain 6 space and chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to jump over to our next chain 6 space and single crochet. Now let's begin our repeat. We're going to place 5 double crochets into your next stitch, so into the single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Single crochet to your next chain 6 space. Chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and single crochet to your next chain 6 space. You're going to repeat this all the way around. When we get to the end, I will meet back up with you and we'll finish this round together. Okay, so to finish round 8, we're going to place 2 more double crochets into that very first stitch where we have our chain and 2 double crochets. So we need to complete the group of 5 double crochets. That's what we're doing here. So there's 1 and 2. And now you're going to slip stitch to the second chain of your beginning chain. Now let's begin round 9. You're going to chain 1 and single crochet back into that same stitch. And chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to skip over to your next chain space and single crochet around that chain space. Chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to skip over to that center double crochet, so the third double crochet stitch, and single crochet to it. Chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And jump over to your next chain space and single crochet around it. That's your repeat for this round. Round 8, you're going to slip stitch to your very first single crochet to complete the round. Okay, so now we're going to finish up round 9 with slip stitching to that very first single crochet. And then we're going to begin round 10. Round 10, you're going to slip stitch over to the center of this chain 6. So just slip stitching into each of the next 3 chains. We're just going to work our way over. And then we're going to slip stitch around the chain. That'll put us in the correct position that we need to be in to begin round 10. You're going to chain 1 and single crochet around the chain, and now chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Single crochet to your next chain 6, and that is your repeat all the way around. Chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and single crochet to the next chain 6. Continue that all the way around for round 10, and I will meet back up with you at the end, and we will slip stitch and begin round 11. Okay, let's finish up round 10 by slip stitching to that very first single crochet, just like that, and that will complete round 10. Let's begin round 11. We're going to slip stitch over 3 stitches. So inserting your hook into each of the next 3 chains and slip stitching to each one of them. That's going to bring us over closer to the center of our chain 7 here. Now we're going to slip stitch around that chain 7. Here is where we're going to begin round 11. You're going to chain 1 and 2 and 3 and place a double crochet back into that same space. Then you're going to place another double crochet, chain 1 and another double crochet. So with our chain 3, we have our first double crochet and a chain 1, and then you double crochet 2 times, chain 1 and double crochet. What that creates is 2 V-stitches into that chain 7 space. Now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's begin our repeat. We're going to place 2 V-stitches into our chain 7. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and repeat. Double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. And now chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And repeat. We're going to go straight over to our next chain 7 space and place 2 V's into that chain 7. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Again, repeat, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Continue that repeat all the way around for round 11. All right, let's finish round 11 together here. You're going to finish by slip stitching to the second chain of your beginning chain here. Okay, let's begin around 12. You're going to slip into the chain 1 space of that very first V-stitch there. And now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to place a double crochet back into that same chain 1 space. Now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And we're going to place a V-stitch into the next chain 1 space. So right in there, we're going to double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. Now we're going to double crochet into the next chain space. And we're going to begin our repeat. Place a V into the chain space, the chain 1 space of your next V-stitch there. So V's into V's. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. V-stitch into the next chain 1 space. And double crochet to the next chain space. Continue that repeat all the way around. Okay, so we're coming up to the end of round 12. Don't forget your last double crochet around that chain space there. And we're going to slip stitch to the second chain from our starting chain. Let's begin round 13. You're going to slip stitch into your chain 1 space. And now we're going to chain 1, 2, 3 and double crochet back into that same chain 1 space, creating another V into a V. We're going to begin our repeat now. Into the chain 3 space, we're going to place 2 V stitches. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet, all into that chain 3 space. And now you're going to place a V stitch into the next chain 1 space. So again, a V stitch into a V stitch. And now you're going to double crochet into the next double crochet stitch. So you skip over the second double crochet of that V and double crochet into the next double crochet stitch, stacking your double crochet on top of each other. So we'll go over that one more time. We're going to place a V stitch into the chain 1 space of our next V stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. Now we're going to place 2 V stitches into this chain 3 space. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. Repeat into that same chain 3 space. Double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. Now we're going to move to the next V stitch, chain 1 space, and we're going to place a V stitch into that chain 1 space. Double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. Now you're going to skip the second double crochet of that V stitch that we just worked into, and we're going to move over to our next stitch and stack a double crochet on top of that one. And that is your repeat for round 13. Go ahead and complete round 13, and I'll meet back up with you at the end to finish. Okay, let's finish round 13. We have our last freestanding double crochet, and we're going to slip stitch to the second chain of our beginning chain. All right, we're slip stitched to the beginning chain there. Now let's begin round 14. You're going to slip stitch into the chain 1 space. So chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and double crochet back into that same chain 1 space. We're going to move to our next V stitch, our next chain 1 space, and place another V stitch. We're going to skip over to the next chain 1 space and place another V stitch. We're going to go to the next chain 1 space and place another V-stitch. Now here we are at our double crochet. We're going to skip the next leg of that V-stitch we just worked into, and we're going to skip over to our next double crochet and place a double crochet into the top of that stitch. And that's our repeat. V-stitches into the V-stitches. So we're going to V-stitch into the next chain 1 space, and you're going to repeat that 1, 2, 3 more times, and then double crochet into the next stitch. Continue that repeat all the way around for round 14, and I'll meet up with you at the end to finish round 14 together. All right, so let's finish up round 14 together. You're going to slip stitch into the second chain, that beginning chain. Okay, now we're going to slip stitch over into the chain 1 space and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. That chain 3 is going to be a treble crochet. We're going to chain 1 more for a chain space. Now we're going to place 1 more treble crochet into the same chain 1 space. So you do that by yarning over your hook 2 times, inserting your hook back in to the chain 1 space, yarning over and pulling up a loop. You now have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through the last 2. You have created your first treble of the round. All right, next you're going to chain 2, 1 and 2, and we're going to go over to our next chain 1 space, and we're going to place a treble V-stitch. So yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through the last 2. Chain 1 and place another treble into that same chain 1 space. This is your repeat all the way around. You're going to place a treble V-stitch into every chain 1 space. I'll meet up with you at the end of the round to complete the round. All right, to finish up this round, you're going to finish it with a chain 2 and slip stitch to the 3rd chain of your starting chain. So 1, 2, and 3. Just like such. So to begin round 15, we are going to slip stitch to our chain 1 space, and chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and double crochet back into that same chain 1 space. Now we're going to go to our chain 2 space here and make a V-stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. This begins your repeat all the way around. We're going to go to our next chain 1 space and place a V-stitch into that chain 1 space, double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. Then you're going to go to your chain 2 space and place a V-stitch, double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. So you're placing a V-stitch in the chain 2 and the chain 1 space all the way around. Go ahead and continue all the way around, and I will meet up with you at the end of round 15. All right, to finish up round 15, we're going to slip stitch into the second chain of our beginning chain. Now, if you're doing the doily, you are done. Go ahead and sew in your tails, cut away from your ball of yarn, sew in your tails. I'll give you a brief overview of it. Okay, so the next thing you can do is after you've cut away from your ball of thread, you can sew in your tails and then soak it in some liquid starch. Wet it first, that's up to you, with warm water. And then soak it in some liquid starch. Now you are going to pin this down and stretch it out so that way it becomes a circle. There is meant to be a little bit of a ruffle on the edge. So if you pleat it when you pin it down, that will give you a little bit of the ruffle effect all the way around. So we have just a little bit of this ruffle here. And that's what I mean by pleating it when you pin it down. Okay, so that will complete the doily part of our 2-part series. On part 2, we will continue with the same project if you are going for the Snood part of this project. So we're continuing on in part 2, and we will finish this off during part 2 as the Snood. So if you wanted the doily, here's the doily. If you want to have a full Snood, continue on, and I'll meet up with you when part 2 comes out. If you make either the doily or the Snood, I would absolutely love to see it. You can share it in the Facebook group. You can also email it to me privately. All of that information is down in the description box. If you post it on Instagram, you can tag me over there as well. I would love to see your work and hear what you have to say about it. All right, everyone, be blessed, be a blessing, and I'll see you for part 2 for the Snood.